When you're a crafter, your craft room stores all of the supplies that you need to make all kinds of beautiful and unique items for your decorating or gift giving. But keeping those items organized can be really challenging. And because I love the Dollar Tree so much, I've put together 18 of my most favorite craft storage solutions, all from the Dollar Tree.
It all just goes away. The things I plan to say, oh baby.
Everything that I need to make it, I got from the Dollar Tree. So I started off with these charger plates, and then I had this Lazy Susan and I wasn't using it, so I decided to use it for my craft caddy. And I want to make sure my Lazy Susan is going to be secure. So I'm going to use some E6000 glue, and I'm going to put a whole bunch of it in the center of the bottom of the charger. And then I put some on the Lazy Susan itself because I really want to make sure this is secure and it's not going to go anywhere. So I put 4 big dollops, I guess they're dollops, onto the Lazy Susan. And then to have the instant stick, I did use my hot glue gun. And then I secured the Lazy Susan onto the bottom of the charger, just like that. And look, it already spins. So that is a very good sign. So now to make the paint holders, I'm going to use these organizers, and sometimes they're difficult to find at the Dollar Tree. But if you look in like where they have the hair accessories, that's where I usually find them. And I'm going to need 4 of these organizers for my craft caddy. Now, I don't know what I'm going to use those lids for. I will figure something out, but I just need the bottom or the larger portion of the acrylic organizers. And then I just kind of played around to see how these organizers would fit onto the charger plate, and they actually fit really well. So then I used some E6000 glue again and a little bit of extra glue from my hot glue gun, and then I just secured them in place. And you can kind of see the pattern that I have. So it's not going to meet in the center, but these are going to go on the outside edge. So these are going to be what I'm going to put the paint into. And it has 3 different like pockets or shelves, and each shelf will hold 3 containers of 2-ounce paint, the typical paints that you use for crafting. So 3 times 3 is 9, times 4 is 36. So this is going to hold 36 containers of paint. And once I had the acrylic organizers in place, then I also put some hot glue and E6000 on the top. Now I am using just a random piece of wood, and I'm going to put that on top of those organizers. And then I'm going to use a little bit more of the E6000 along with some hot glue. And this is what will secure the second charger in place. So this will be the middle section of the craft caddy. And then I'm going to take one of these handy dandy little Dollar Tree paintbrush holders, and again using E6000, I'm going to secure that on top of the charger. And one thing I didn't show you is, see those little glass containers? Well, I put those in between each of the organizers. See, you can see it here before I'm doing the spray paint. And those are going to be like little buckets. And I totally spaced that part, but those were glued in place, and I did use a Jenga block to get them to be at that angle. But so now I'm going to spray paint this, and the spray paint I'm using is Rust-Oleum cement because I really wanted white. Unfortunately, I didn't have a can of white spray paint, but I did have this cement color spray paint, and I thought the gray would look really nice. So I went ahead and gave it a nice coat of spray paint, the entire caddy. And I really like doing this because it makes it all look like it's one piece. It doesn't look like it was an afterthought. It looks like I meant to do this. So using spray paint can really tie a project together. And once it was dry, it was time to bring it back into my craft room and put all those paints away. And I find having a craft caddy like this is so helpful when you're working on a project and you're going to be using lots of different things like paints or glue guns, glue sticks, scissors, paintbrushes, all kinds of things. This craft caddy holds so many different tools that you need for crafting. And then when you're done using it, you just put it away. So this is why I really wanted to make an updated video for this craft caddy and show you guys, because I use this thing so much and it's so helpful. And once I got all of the paints into the organizers, as well as all those little containers filled with glue sticks and things like that, then all I had to do was put my paintbrushes into the paintbrush caddy. And this is the finished product. This is my awesome craft caddy. You guys, this thing is so useful and helpful. It's awesome, and I really, really think it would be something helpful for you in your craft room. Now this one is so much fun. So you need all of these supplies from the Dollar Tree. I had this Scarecrow sign that I wasn't going to be using, so he's going to be the base for my project. Then I found these pen and pencil organizers at the Dollar Tree, and I figured out that these will actually hold the 2-ounce bottles of acrylic paint very well. So I bought 12 of them. I wish they would have all been the same color, but they weren't. And then I used some E6000 to secure all of these little holders to each other. That was the main step. Now there is a little bit of a lip all the way around the edges, which makes it a little bit challenging to get the glue to stick. But if you get the E6000 on that little lip, it will stick. So I put the E6000 all the way around the lip and a little bit on the inside, and then added a little bit of hot glue for some instant stick. And I secured all of the pen and pencil holders together. This way they're going to be one solid piece. I also used some Dollar Tree clamps to hold them together while they were drying, but I was so excited I had to pick it up. Yep, they will all stay together. Then I took my Scarecrow base and I'm going to put those holders on top of the Scarecrow base. So then I put a little bit of E6000 onto the base, and I only did it in the spots where I knew that the bottom would come in contact with the base. That way I'm not wasting the E6000 because that stuff's a little bit expensive. And I do like the instant stick, so I did take a little bit of hot glue and I filled that in between the places where I had the E6000. Then I moved the entire holder onto the base. Then I really wanted this to look cohesive, so I took some hot glue and I just ran it down the entire front of the organizer. And I used a finger protector so that I could smooth out the hot glue and not burn my finger. I also added a little bit of hot glue to the back just to reinforce the base. And then I allowed it to completely dry overnight before I moved on to the next step. And I have these Dollar Tree signs and they work great for raising a project off of a desk, so I'm not going to be painting my desk or my silicone mats. And I'm just using some black paint. This is Heirloom Traditions all-in-one paint. It works really well and you don't see a lot of the brush marks, which is why I really like this. I wanted to see if I could give this more of a chrome finish, and I figured it would be best to paint everything black first, and then I would apply the spray paint. Now, applying this black paint by a paintbrush is a little time consuming for sure, but I find that it's easier and it's more affordable to use this kind of paint than it is to use spray paint, because spray paint is getting really expensive nowadays. But once it was dried, this is how it looked. Then I took it outside and I spray painted everything with a bright silver metallic spray paint. And here is the finished project. Oh my gosh, look at how shiny this is. It does look pretty metallic, I think. Wow, super shiny. And that's just spray paint over top of the black paint. So once everything was dried, this was the fun part. I got to put all of my paints into my organizer. This thing is so awesome. It holds so many paints. I think it holds 64 if I'm remembering correctly. So many paints, and they're all organized. And as luck would have it, this is the perfect size to fit into my closet. It was almost as if I made it for this space. And by putting the paints in this way, I can see the bottom so I can see the color, and it keeps the paint towards the top. And can you see my little storage organizer? All this is a shoe storage organizer from the Dollar Tree. This thing is so awesome. Look at it. It has 8 pockets, and I just hung it up in my closet with some nails. This way I can keep different things organized, like squirt bottles or things that I have for upcoming projects. So a Dollar Tree shoe organizer is an excellent organizer for your craft room. Now, I made this awesome pegboard display using a frame and a couple of pegboards that I got on Amazon, but I needed some more pegboards. So I found these at the Dollar Tree, and they're $1.25 a piece, so I bought 2 of them. And they do connect together, but they don't connect together very well They don't snap in, which is what I was hoping. They're pretty flimsy, but you can get them lined up. What I decided to do was take some glue, and I think I got this glue on Temu. It's very similar to E6000, and I just put some of that on the raised edge of one of the pegboards, and then on the other pegboard, the edge that's kind of sunk down a little bit, I put some in there as well. And then I also put some along the edge that they're going to be joined together. Then, to help keep these two pegboards together, I used a little bit of frog tape, and just to give a little bit of something extra to secure the two pegboards so that they're going to be one instead of two. And then to make sure everything is nice and secure, I did use some Dollar Tree clamps. These things are awesome. And this is what the pegboard looks like. Now I also did buy the extra little pieces that you can put onto the back, and you literally just line it up and then you push it down. And those are helpful in case you wanted to hang your pegboard this way. It also comes with these gel like adhesive tabs. So I did go ahead and put those onto the back. And then I also bought some additional hangers. So I've got all of the hangers and the shelves. I really love the shelves that you can buy. They're $1.25 a piece, but this way you can keep things close to my workstation when I'm using them for crafting. It's really nice if your tools have a home. So using a system like this, all of my crafting tools have a home where they live, and as long as I put them back, everything will be organized and I will know where my tools are, which is half the battle. Now this is something really cool. This is used for nail polish remover, but what I found is it also works great for putting alcohol, like rubbing alcohol in. You can find this in the makeup section at the Dollar Tree. You just unscrew the top and then you just fill it with whatever you want. So I like to fill it with rubbing alcohol. That way I can clean things before I'm going to attach vinyl to them for my Cricut projects. And then you just take a cotton swab and you just push down on the top and the liquid comes out. It's a wonderful addition to my little craft caddy, so I always have it there in case I need it for a craft. These little squirt bottles are really nice to have too, so I have one of those on my craft caddy. Now, if you're like me, you have lots of blanks or signs that I bought at the Dollar Tree that I'm going to be using in the future. But you can see I've got a lot. So I found this over the door hook, and this is a really nice one. It's basically got 8 hooks onto it. You just put it over top of the door, and it creates instant storage. Everything that I had, I was able to hang on these hooks, and I can still open my door. Now these are so nice. These are soda bins for the refrigerator, but they also work really well for holding crafting supplies. So I bought a couple of these. And then I just put them onto the shelf and then filled them up with all of my large paints that won't fit into my paint storage organizers. So this works really well for these large bottles of paint. and even the larger bottles of the acrylic paint that I have, and then these little 2-ounce bottles of Waverly chalk paint. These soda bins actually give a lot of storage, and they fit really well onto my shelves. Now I'm going to make a shelving unit that I can put onto my shelving unit. Does that make sense? So I found these signs at Hobby Lobby actually, and they were 97 cents. Then I took a couple of the Dollar Tree signs, shelf sitters, and cut them down so that they would be the same size. Then I used these little wooden bins from the Dollar Tree, and using some Dollar Tree wood glue, I just put wood glue into the bin. Now they have those bins, they come with stars or hearts and different designs, but as long as the bins are the same size, that's all that matters, because you won't see those little open areas. But you really need to make sure that they're all the same size. Even if they have like the same thing, like the stars, they can still be different sizes. So then I just took those shelf sitters and I put 2 of them into the bottom of those wood trays. Next, I took more of the wood glue and I added that to the top of the wood tray. And then I secured 2 more trays on top of the first level of trays. Now I did go ahead and put some wood glue on the inside, and then I grabbed those Hobby Lobby shelf sitter signs and I put 2 into the 2 wood trays. And once I had them all lined up, making sure everything was even, or as even as it could be, I took the remaining 2 shelf sitters and I put those on top of the second level of the wood trays. Then to keep everything secure and make sure that glue could set up, I did add some tiles just for some weight. And once it was dry, I used some Waverly chalk paint to paint everything white. Now, if you wanted to, you could use spray paint, but it's been my experience that when you use spray paint on wood like this, it seems to soak into the wood and it takes more spray paint. So using chalk paint or acrylic paint, you could probably even use like Kills 2 primer. That's a water-based primer to get a nice white finish on the shelves. And the Waverly chalk paint worked really well. So I painted the top, the sides, the bottom, basically everything. And then I allowed it to dry. And here is the end result. Oh my gosh, I am so happy with this. Isn't it adorable? It offered 3 more shelves that I could use on one shelf. It was actually really easy to make, and I think it is a nice addition to offer some more storage on my shelving unit. Next, I wanted to show you how easy it is to make a paint holder using 5 things from the Dollar Tree. So you need a paper towel holder and 4 napkin rings. And you can find these in the cooking utensil area. Usually they're on a bottom shelf. All I did was secure the napkin holders to the paper towel holder. And I just used zip ties, which I also got at the Dollar Tree, to secure all of these pieces together. There are different ways that you can do this, but I chose to line my napkin holders up flat along the center of the paper towel holder. So for the bottom layer, I'm connecting 2 of the napkin holders together. And that's what it looks like. It's halfway done. And for the second level, I just repeated the process, putting the napkin holders on top of the other napkin holders that are already secured in place on the bottom. And then I just used my Husky tool to snip all of the remaining pieces of the zip ties off. I find that these Husky tools are a lot stronger and make it easier to cut than using scissors. And here is the finished product. And now all I have to do is put the paints into the rings. Each napkin holder will hold 7 bottles of paint. So we've got 7 times 4, so that's 28 bottles of paint that this will hold. And it even has a built-in carrying piece. Then I can just put it back onto the shelf. And keep my paints organized and out of the way. Now this cutting mat is so awesome. This is a really nice cutting mat. It is pretty small, but you can find it at the Dollar Tree. And if you can't afford one of the larger cutting mats, this is a very good first step. For $1.25, you can have a cutting mat, and it works just as well as the larger ones. I love all of the acrylic organizer pieces you can find at Dollar Tree. There's so many uses for this 3-compartment organizer. But I found that it works really well for holding larger paintbrushes that won't fit into the smaller organizers. So all of these paintbrushes are really nice, but they have these huge handles that I can't fit in my regular paintbrush holder. So the acrylic organizers work really well for that, and they're very stable. They don't tip over very easily. So with a couple of acrylic organizers, I keep my larger paintbrushes neat and organized on a shelf. Now, if you want to create more space, you can just buy these mini shelves. These are so nice. They also work really well in your cabinets, like in your kitchen, but they also work wonderfully in the craft room. And then you can find little storage bins like these. These are really nice. They have locking lids. After I remove the tags from the bottom, I can put whatever I want into these locking bins. Put the lid on and use the handles to lock the lid in place. Then I just lock the lid in place and have everything neat and tidy together. Then I can just slide these little locking boxes underneath the shelving units on my shelf. And then I can use these little wooden bins to hold extra supplies, even paint trays. And the cabinet shelves really help to add extra storage space and make it easier to keep everything organized on a shelving unit or on a bookshelf. I just wanted to show you this. This was another paint organizer that I made, and I think it would have been helpful if I had it on a Lazy Susan, but again, lots of different ways to create organization for paints. When I went to the Dollar Tree last week, I found these little signs, but there's actually 2 signs in a package. So for this project, I'm going to make another type of paint holder that you can hang on the wall. It's going to be a paint ladder. So I'm going to be using 3 of those larger signs, and then some wood pieces that I got at Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to secure the shelves or the rung portion of the ladder to my paint ladder. And I could have really made it look like a ladder, but I wanted to make sure I had enough space in between each of those shelves. So using some wood glue and E6000, I started my first shelf at the bottom. Now I did this so that that lip is going up. So it's literally creating a space to hold the paints or whatever I want onto the shelf. And then I attached both sides to my shelf. And then I decided to cut down one of those wood pieces, and using some E6000 and some wood glue, and I secured that to the bottom of my ladder. I guess it's kind of a paint bookshelf more than a paint ladder. Then after I had that done, I went ahead and put the final paint shelf in place. I also did put a top to the ladder or my paint bookshelf, and I just used another piece of wood from the Dollar Tree that I had cut down so that it would match up and be perfect. I also did add a little bit of extra support with the extra pieces that I had. Then using the Waverly white chalk paint, I just painted the entire thing. I painted the inside, the outside, the back, everything was painted with the chalk paint. And once it was dry, I just hung it up using some nails, and believe it or not, it's actually really sturdy. And it also gives me additional storage for extra paints. Now this was a larger plastic basket that I found at the Dollar Tree. I think this is the largest thing I've ever seen there. So I wanted to create some more storage. So I have this thick cotton rope that I bought on Amazon, and what I'm going to do is wrap it all the way around that plastic tub. And I started the rope at the bottom of the plastic tub and just worked my way all the way around. Now the hot glue actually worked really well on the low setting, and it stayed warm for me to be able to do large portions of the covering and then just bring the rope down onto the glue. And I just worked my way around, going higher and higher onto the basket with the rope. Now I didn't go all the way to the top. I did have enough rope. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get all the way to the top, but I just left a little bit of a lip. So literally about 2 inches was left, just the plastic container. And there is my rope basket so far, but I'm not done. I found this pillowcase at the Dollar Tree, and I'm flipping it inside out, and then I'm going to put it into the plastic tub. But by turning it inside out, then I'm not going to have the seams on the outside. And then I just folded it down around the top of the tub. That way you can't see any of the plastic. And I wanted to give this a more finished look, so I added some hot glue to the top, right around that edge where the rope stopped, and I just added one more layer of rope. Now, right in the center of the front of my basket, I left enough room so that I could tie a knot into the rope. So I just tied a knot. I believe it's called a square knot. If I'm wrong, please let me know. And then I let the extra pieces just hang down the front. And this rope actually frays very easily, so I decided to just tie a knot on each end that was hanging down. After I made this, I thought, you know what, this would be very pretty storage, like just to have a basket somewhere. I'm using it in my craft room, but I think this is really pretty and it would be really nice in any type of decorating. And it was really easy to make. Have you seen these paintbrush holders at Dollar Tree? These things are incredible. And for $1.25, you have an awesome way to store your paintbrushes so you can see them, like this. This paintbrush holder will hold all of these paintbrushes. I know, that's a lot of paintbrushes. I have a paintbrush problem. But all of those paintbrushes are in the paintbrush holder right now. And there is still room to hold more paintbrushes. And personally, I love having the paintbrush holder on top of my caddy. It makes it so convenient to keep my paintbrushes. Wow, can you believe it? 18 different storage ideas for things that you can make or use from Dollar Tree in your craft room. I know I am so grateful to be able to come up with things to create more storage to hold all of the supplies that I need in my craft room, because if you don't have an organized craft room, it can be really overwhelming because there are a lot of little pieces that can get lost. So having storage solutions to keep everything organized, you know where it is, you know how to find it in your craft room, is so helpful.